Now, their thing is the real God has gotten the shaft in the Bible and been lied on. And that is true. Because I'm going to tell everybody, this thing going on with this Bible, we are reading this thing, and anytime you read something that says that God says they're a jealous God, that is not an omniscient entity of omnipotence. Not at all. Now, if you know the word God means Goth or Gothic or Gotham, which means German, well, then maybe so. However, when you read this book, what everybody's currently following, all of the different religions right now have become, for lack of better words, what people perceive to be satanic or enemies, because the word Satan means enemy or adversary. Enemies and adversarial to the real omniscient, omnipotent, whatever. I hate to use the word creator because creator is only a Middle English word. I need to find something more ancient. However, for lack of better words, I'm going to use a Latin word, omniscient or omnipotent. However, what they're saying is this. We have to take down these false gods and resurrect and re-erect the real God, Satan, the devil, Lucifer. Now, I'm going to tell you, they are also being misled. It's another fraud. Everybody's being misled down the road to hell in acts of fraud. But all your holy books say that this entity was going to do that to the people and mislead everybody to follow it down the road to hell, death, bloodshed, and destruction. So what people have to comprehend is, if in fact what they're talking about that they're setting up, which is what some of these people like, what's his name, Pike, I forget this cat's name, Albert Pike, who was very high-ranking in Masons, I think at the top of the Masonic chart, and at the top of the Ku Klux Klan. But you guys don't know that he was supposed to be working for or one of what you keep calling Jews. So I'm saying this to say, again, people are lying on people. Now, if in fact what they're trying to set up is a world about that, if you look around the world and look at what's happening now, that is exactly what we're dealing with. Everybody's children are on the verge of being destroyed all over the world. Now, it happens in the United States, but, they have to snatch them up here and there. But if these individuals get control of this country, like they've gotten control of most of the countries, then what they can do is what they're doing in other countries. We have all the guns, and we have whatever, so we can take anybody's child we want to. And when they get into these countries, they come in with the military, they kick down the doors. In a lot of countries, and I'm talking about people that are in the so-called United States military, are raping people's women, children, boys, and men in some of these other countries. And I'm going to tell you this. Everybody that's here and thinks that the United States is the best and safest place to be, it is and was, but if we don't get it together and unify as a corroborate and go, okay, fine, let's disregard that you're straight, I'm gay, I'm black, you're white, you're Jew or Christian or Muslim or not, and atheist, agnostic, whatever. If we don't figure some stuff out real quick, we're going to wind up with the enemy at the door. Like during the Civil War, the enemy was at the damn door. And the people inside the United States did not, for the most part, even know it. Abraham Lincoln knew it, but the people didn't know it because the North was fighting the South over racism, over color, and slavery, and about the niggers, or so they thought. But Abraham Lincoln was trying to hold on to the republic and keep the enemy out of the gate. Now, I'm going to say this. Back then, the Tsar of Russia, Alexander II, had his back. We don't have anybody to have the back of the United States anymore. Why? Because the United States, what y'all call government, has been so thoroughly infiltrated that people are totally unaware that the United States military has been used by these entities that I'm talking about that's lying on everybody and setting us all up, has gone around the world murdering and destroying and committing some of the most heinous crimes imaginable. And they've disarmed all of the people that used to think so highly of the United States. Back in the day, people would be glad to see the United States come. It's like the Americans are here, the Americans are here. And now it's like, pooh, spit on them, the Americans are here. The United States, the people of the United States let it get to that point because they were too hung up on racism and color, and they lost sight. Now, this place has become one of the most hated places on the planet. But we have to try to free people all over the planet, because people all over the planet have people here in this place. And if we don't wake up and give a dang about what's going on, then we don't deserve to have this place. And I hate to say that, but if you have allowed, not you, but if we have allowed what is supposed to be the representatives of the people to get on some whole screw the people, we're on our own agenda, we're just trying to get paid and make our pockets fat, and while y'all trip on race and color and, you know, the Jews and the niggers and whatever it is y'all tripping on, we're just going to keep moving right along with our agenda. The fact is, these people, with the help of the United States, have become amongst the most heavily, and I'm talking about Israel now, they are amongst the most heavily armed entity out there right now. They are armed probably almost as well, if not better, than the so-called United States. Now, the fact is, what we have to comprehend is these individuals don't care about the United States, and there has always been the agenda about destroying the United States. Back in the 1800s, 1865 in particular, remember Abraham Lincoln was murdered in 1865, and the Ku Klux Klan rose big in 1865. So this is one of the things that has occurred that is taking people out all over the planet, because they started taking people out from inside the country at the bottom. And while everybody was fighting at the bottom, no one watched what was going on at the top. So if you don't watch what's going on at the top, then we're going to all get screwed. And I know there are people out there that are like, well, I'm Christian, I'm not going to unify with no Jews, and I'm the Klan, I'm not unifying with no niggers, and I'm a moron, I'm not unifying with no crackers, and they're going to be on some whole other stuff. Fine. Let the United States fall, and everybody's going to do the best they can. And I'm going to say this. When it comes to the melanin-rich warriors who fell for the tricks and the trap about the blue and the red and whatever other nonsense, tripping on drugs and whatever the turf wars or whatever the deal is on some little turf as opposed to the big turf, while you guys weren't paying attention, you became disarmed. There was one point now, remember, nobody wanted to give us arms in the first place. We're at a point now, in my opinion, where almost every single individual in the United States needs to be armed, but then again, we don't, because we have several schools right now, universities across this country that are, arming the students or making it okay for students on college campuses to carry concealed weapons to school. Now, that's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard, because some of these people are not intelligent enough to know how to handle these things and what to do with these things. Now, I'm not saying that we need to be armed so we can start killing one another, because unfortunately people are still being misled and stuck on stupid, and that's probably exactly what would happen. But if everybody just decides to let this fall, the walls of the United States are going to fall on the people inside the United States. And the people that have set us up around the world to make us appear to be the enemies to the world, when we're really the world, because everybody from all around the world is here. But because we're not keeping up with what's going on, this is going to fall on us, and we're going to wind up with all kind of people running through here, and it's just going to be a whole bloodbath. And I think it can be stopped. I think that there's no reason why it should happen. I don't see why it should happen. And the only way it's going to continue to happen is if we keep thinking that the Bloods are the enemy, and the Crips are the enemy, and the Jews are the enemy, and the niggers are the enemy, and the Klan is the enemy. And some of these people are enemies to a certain extent for whatever ridiculous reasons, most of it misinformation and misleading. But everybody better try to figure out how to put their differences aside for a minute, because there's a little city inside of Southern California. I can't think of the name of the city, But this little city realized that the people that were supposed to be representing the people of the city, what you call the city government, were the criminals that were doing the people of the city in. They were robbing the city and bankrupting the city and making the poor people poorer every step of the way. That's what's going on right now. And if we don't get it together, that's what we're going to be. Now, a lot of these people that are so-called government agents of the people are just selling the people down the river. And you know when the country's about to fall, the way they did, I think, what is Ireland and Argentina and some of the other countries that they have disabled, one of the ways they make the country fall is they start going after government jobs and government pay, which they started doing. Even in California, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger was trying to take the employees down to minimum wage or $5-something an hour. So they do that first. Then they start pulling out the jobs, which is what's happening now. The jobs are being pulled out. Then they start privatizing the water. There are places in the United States where the water has been privatized, and the water bills for the people, and they started in melanin-rich areas of elderly, what you call black folks. They started out on them. And those individuals, the bills got so high they couldn't afford it. Again, these are the tests. We're always the test dummy because nobody cares when it's being tested on us. The next order of business is to raise the gasoline prices so high and then to raise the food so high that you wind up causing a rebellion and a riot within the walls of the country. And that is one of the things that they're trying to do. And I sent everyone in my email address book an email about a month or two ago warning them that President Obama had unified with one of the heads of, I think it was Russia, no, China. I think it was China. It was either Russia or China. And they were in the process of setting up a militia to deal with the food riots that they expect to take place in the United States this fall. Well, it's March now. I mean, it's not fall, this spring. It's March now. This is spring. And I'm being told about how fast the gas prices are going up. And I'm being told how the grocery stores are putting up signs in the grocery stores, particularly in the produce departments, warning their customers about the impending increase in prices of food based on food shortages and the impending lack of food product they expect to be on the shelves. Now, you guys can go off on your whole, well, we're white and we ain't unifying with no niggers, and I ain't unifying with no apes, or whatever it is you guys want to call one another, and we're Jews and we ain't unifying with no Christians, and we're Christians and we ain't unifying with no Muslims. Go on if you want to. A lot of the people that would be the best able to fight this battle are currently incarcerated. And a lot of the other people that are armed enough to fight, they're going to only be looking out for just themselves and their own. So I don't know what else to tell everybody. But there's a couple of words I wanted to get back to before I get all off on some distracted tangent. Gentile. Gentile means nation, race, all nations who were not Jews nor Christians according to the Christian and Jewish translation of Goyim. In civil affairs, the denomination was given to all nations who were not Romans, pertaining to pagans or heathen. Now listen to pagan. Pagan was originally applied to the inhabitants of the country who refused to receive Christianity after it had been received by the inhabitants of the cities. So once the people in the cities accepted Christianity, if other people didn't accept it or the governments didn't accept it, those people were considered pagan. Heathen, one who lives in the country or woods. From pagus, a village. All nations except the Jews or Israelites. Gentiles or heathen nations, a rude, illiterate, or barbarous person, inhabitant of the heath or woods. Now, everybody needs to comprehend what these things are and what these things mean, and people don't